Hello. Hi, this is the Destiny Show. You are tuned in to the Power of Purpose Radio.com. Tonight, I have a special guest, Mr. Leroy McKenzie Jr. How are you?
I'm doing great, Christy. Thanks for having me this evening.
Oh, you're very welcome. Tonight, we are talking about unhealthy relationships.
Mm,
There are a total different types of unhealthy relationships, and there's a total of 15 unhealthy relationship type partners.
oh wow,
15.
really?
Yes. So tonight we're talking about five of those main character type of the unhealthy relationship partners.
Okay, okay.
As everyone knows, my daughter was in a abusive domestic violence relationship, and these five main types, she experienced all of these in that one partner.
Oh wow. Mm,
And the number one type of unhealthy relationship partner is the abusive partner.
okay. Mm-hmm.
And with this type of partner, it is the most clearly understood type of negative and unhealthy relationship due to the bond that has to be maintained when an abusive relationship seeks power and control.
Okay.
And what makes this type of relationship the most difficult one is because it has that cycle, that abusive cycle, that is the physical, the sexual, social, including the secretivity of that type of partner you're with.
Okay. Okay.
And in domestic violence relationships, there's always, you have to keep this a secret.
Mm, right. 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 They want to keep you isolated.
Yes, yes. And that's why this is the number one main type of abusive relationship partner.
Okay. Okay.
The second one is controlling,
Mm,
because this goes with the cycle of control with power.
right. Absolutely.
And with the controlling partner, this partner needs to be in control at all times with everything.
Mm, mm-hmm.
Can you remember a time when there might have been a relationship that you might have been in that turned a little controlling? You just didn't pick up on it very quickly, because sometimes the controlling partner is not something that they naturally bring on immediately.
Well, I think not me, honestly, not me personally. When I think about, and you got me rolling through my mental Rolodex with my relationships and everything like that, in regards to someone trying to be controlling. I say, if anyone, it might have been me that was doing the controlling.
Oh.
Somewhat, but no. I guess because of the mindset that I've always had in my relationships was. I was going to make sure that even if there was somebody that I felt like did control or was trying to control me, that I would recognize that, because my mother just brought me up where you had your own mind, you thought your own way, and no one can control what it is that you do, what it is that you say, that type of thing. So I haven't experienced it from that perspective, as far as someone trying to, kind of control the relationship. But I do believe that women, you all do run the relationships, even though y'all don't think so. That y'all don't control them anyway. But not in the way that we're talking about this evening, in regards
Yes,
to
yes.
being in control of the relationships, though.
Well, I can say that as a woman, you do have to take control of certain aspects in your relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I
Absolutely.
would not ever tell a woman to just give up all your power and control when you know that you are seeking something, you want something, and you want a healthy relationship. You work at it, and there might be some times where you might have to make certain decisions. You might have to say certain things, or some certain actions might take place. But I always say stay on the healthy side
Right.
when it comes to control, because domestic violence is one of those type of things when the partner wants to control the aspect of your speaking, your thinking, your friends you're hanging around with, all your activities. So that type of control is one of those types that on the fusion partner model of domestic violence and control. It comes in number 2.
Hmm. And I think people have to be careful when we talk about relationships that you don't lose yourself in the relationship. I think that's very important because you have the relationship itself between you and the individual that you're involved with, but you should also have a relationship outside of that, which is where your be all and end all isn't that person, where everything that you do is consumed with that person, and you don't have a quote unquote life outside of that person.
Yeah, and that's why in domestic violence relationships, it turned to be so abusive and so controlling and so aggressive, is because they don't want you to have a life outside of them.
Right.
And they want to be everything to you. They want to be up under you. They want to watch. They want to talk. They want all your attention, but it's the violence that's in it.
Absolutely.
That brings on the unhealthy part. And the number 3 type of abusive, unhealthy relationship is the jealous partner.
Okay.
And this type of partner is always the one that's jealous of everything you do, jealous of your friends, jealous how you look, jealous what you wear. And with this type of partner, there's nothing you can actually do that will make this person happy.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. They just the paranoia in them, and actually when I think about that, when I think about the jealousy is more about the insecurities within themselves.
Yes.
More so than the other individual. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I think about that jealousy, because they always they think that they're not good enough for that person, and they're always afraid that no matter what, they're going to lose that person for whatever reason.
Yeah, and with that, it also goes with the power and control in the domestic violence cycle as well, because men abuse and feel jealous and feel unpowerful when they have low self-esteem.
Right, absolutely.
And they feel unworthy and unwanted and unneeded, and then they result back to the way they were probably treated by their mother or their father, and were left alone, and so they're lonely and they're reaching out, but they don't know how to reach out properly.
Right.
And it turns into violence.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, and with a lot of things with a jealous person too, is that no matter what they think, they always think you're lying.
Right, and that's the insecure. To me, that's the insecurity part to them, where they're not healthy within themselves.
Yes.
And don't love themselves enough to have an understanding with that, and they project that unhealthiness that they have for themselves onto that other person. And like you said, it leads to them being physically abusive or even verbally abusive to that individual, because they have to make that other person feel like either inferior to them or subservient to them in the way that they are. So
Yes, and I like that you bring that up, because abandonment plays a big part.
Wow.
In domestic violence.
Does it? Okay.
It does. And statistically, it shows that a lot of male abusers that abuse women, that they have abandonment issues and attachment issues.
Okay.
And that plays a role in the abusive, the controlling, the jealous type partner.
Okay.
And the reason why a lot of those men are jealous and don't believe anything, because of the abandonment that they felt as a child.
Right. And I think the abandonment, and then also whether it's and I found this to I think be true too, and this we delve into that as well. The abandonment part, but also not having the whether it's the father. Mainly, most of the time, I think it's mainly not having the father there. And that's part of abandonment, where they feel like the father wasn't in their life growing up. So that's a part of them that's missing, especially for us men. I know for us men, that's some. I mean, the little young girls need it, and young boys, but specifically young boys need that male figure growing up to be able to see that positive image of someone that like them. growing
Right.
up in order for that. And when you don't have that, then you have no foundation, anything to kind of base yourself off of, especially as a man. And I found that out just talking to other men when you. When growing up and they've grown up and that father figure not being there and they haven't been taught how to be a man or what the true definition of manhood is, which
Yes.
that goes into.
Yes, and that's a great big point too. I know that I'm also working with the men as well with domestic violence, and a lot of men bring that up as if they did have a father in the house, what they saw was unhealthy,
Right.
and so they mimic what they saw.
Right. Right.
And so with that part being that, with them not having a man around, then they're looking at what the mother does, and then a lot of those men become resentful, and they begin to hate women.
Right. Absolutely.
And so what we're trying to do, we want to re-educate and love each other the right way, the correct way, mentally and emotionally, so that all men and all women can be shown the proper way to love.
And that's vital, especially when we talk about the younger generation of young girls, young boys, young men,
Yes.
young women, and their relationships. And a lot of them, and I mean, you want to even talk about older relationships now too, when you get into being unhealthy. And why we have so many unhealthy relationships, and it has to do with, like we just talked about, with the parents in the home, or parents not being in the home, either
Right.
one. And
Yeah.
and a lot of people in relationships, they want to, they feel like sometimes they have to stay there or stay together just because of the children. And I've said this in conversations with men, that can be even worse than staying in the relationship just because to have somebody there can be worse than leaving and moving out of that relationship, just because children know when something's not right.
Right. They do, and they can sense
they
it,
can sense
and they
it
can
and-
also feel it.
Exactly. So they can tell when something's going on, or mommy and daddy don't love each other. Trust me.
Yes,
Mommy and daddy
yeah.
in the same house, but they don't love each other because they're not going to show that emotional aspect to each other.
Yeah.
So you got two adults in the house, emotionally unattached to each other, for the kid, and the kid can sense that there's no attachment for the between the parents, and they grow up thinking that that's how a relationship is supposed to be.
Yes, yes. And that's why my organization also provides family counseling. Because it's very important as a family to go to counseling together, especially when you're having that type of relationship.
Okay.
And when the children can see it, the children can sense it, and then that child starts to act out. And so my organization is dedicated to the whole body, the whole family as one. And I believe in empowering and bringing on a lot of positivity into the lives of every human that's on this earth.
Well, you have to, and organizations such as yours are so needed in this day and time because of, just like we said, about the so many unhealthy relationships, and not even relationships to get between male and female, but you're talking families.
Yes,
Unhealthy
yes,
family
yes.
relationships between brother, sister, mother, daughter, father, son,
Yes.
cousins. The family seems to be trying to. There needs to be a concerted effort in making the family healthy again.
Yes.
And you can't get healthy until each individual within that family deals with themselves first, but then says, you know what, as a family we have to deal with this, like you said, with going to counseling together.
Yes, yes. And the fourth type of partner is the negative partner. This is the one for what they call women, it's the Debbie Downer, and what they call men is the negative Nick.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The
We have
negative Nicks. Huh?
Yeah, we got a lot of those negative Nicks out there that are, no matter what you say, no matter what you do, and they're always negative. They can't see any good, any positive, no type of result ever. And so this is the type of partner that in domestic violence, he's always there. Negative to the core, 100%, no matter what. In a domestic violence relationship, everything is negative.
Right, right. They can't find anything positive to talk about. Everything that you may suggest to them or say to them, oh, I don't want that, or well, let's do that. You think about doing this? Nah, I don't want to do that. All they want to really do is just what they want. They want to sit in their unhappiness.
Yes.
And they don't want to they don't want to change that mindset that they have. And they don't see anything wrong with it, because the way that they see the world, and like we just talked about a few minutes ago, was just about the way that they may have grown up. They may have been surrounded by nothing but negativity.
Yes.
And that's all that they know. So when you have somebody that tries to infuse some positive, energy and some positive mindset to them, their natural reaction is to just be negative.
Yes, and that's the reason why when I counsel women and I talk to them about the negativity in their relationships, and I ask them this question, it's like, how do you feel about the negativity that you are experiencing? And a lot of women tell me that they thought that the negativity was the abuser just being a realist.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And to them, they thought that he was just being real, about whatever he saw, whatever he thought. He was just being real about it. So they had no idea what type of negativity that was.
Okay. Now, did they not know that because of because they weren't privy to understanding, like you just talked about, the being able to identify those characteristics that someone may have, like that with somebody who's constantly negative? I always think, when I think about somebody who's always negative, they take the energy out of the room.
Yeah. Yeah.
They sap all of the energy out of the room. They sap all of the energy out of you. And when you see those kind of people, I can't deal with it.
I can't either.
When I see if somebody like that, I'm like, you know what? Nah, this not gonna work. Even I've had some of my friends that we may be in a conversation on the phone or something like that, and they just have this negative, attitude going on that day or whatever. Be like, you know what? No, I'm gonna talk to you later. I'll talk to you later, because right now you messing up my space.
Exactly. Yeah. You making me mad now. So I got you. I know exactly the type of people you are referring to, because I get those type of calls, and then sometimes I get those type of text messages.
Right. Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
just a negative person that wants to just bring you into the same atmosphere that they're in.
Right.
And I don't deal with that. I can't take it. But to answer your question about the women that are in these domestic violence relationships, their whole thought process is gone.
Wow. Okay.
Because when you're dealing with domestic violence, it brings on a blockage in your mind that whatever he said is true.
Right.
And so it blocks your natural awareness of that. Okay, no, this is negative. This is not what it seems like.
Okay.
And a lot of those women are just stuck. And so that's why when I spoke to a woman and she told me that she just thought he was just being a realist, he was just saying what he, the truth of what he saw, what he thought. And I asked her a few things about some of the things he had said to her, and the reason why she even thought that those negative things were true is because he told her that no one will ever love you the way that I do, that, and no one will ever treat you better than I treat you, and that I love you, even your family don't love you. So it was a brainwashing technique as well.
Okay. Okay. Now, let me ask you this. Now, you talk about the brainwashing with women in that particular, the mindset that they get into. Now, how is it that someone gets to? How is it that the men that these women are getting involved with are able to either manipulate or actually get into that control part of their mind? In those situations, is it because of their insecurities with themselves that they've had that and when I think about that, I think about them not having their identity already before they get into the relationship.
Yeah.
Is that what you found with that, or?
Well, I found that, as well as I found that it's their own self-worth and their own self-identity. And an abuser, he could pick up on you a mile away. Just by your
Right.
body language,
Right.
just by the way
Right.
you talk, just by the way you look.
Mm-hmm.
Everything about you, they already done sensed it. They done figure it out. They done size you up and down. And so
They know your characteristics that you have as a like you not knowing your self-worth, your self-esteem.
yeah. And for example, I spoke with the guy, and he told me he's a former abuser.
Okay.
And so I asked him, I said, well, can you tell me the reason why that you can figure out a woman who has what you think is a low characteristic woman,
Okay.
the woman who don't care about herself,
Mm-hmm.
than, let's say, a woman like me, who you could see that if you call me a bad name, that we
is
gonna
not
have some
gonna happen.
issues. We gonna have some issues.
It's gonna be some furniture moving up.
So, he told me, he said straight up, he says that I can size a woman up if I call her a B and she does nothing and she doesn't correct me. He said, I already know I got control.
Wow.
And that's how they get in, and they manipulate you and have you doing all type of crazy junk, and then you're coming back and forth, and a lot of them do that break up, get back together stuff.
Did she just describe a pimp to me? I think you ain't say that word, but I think you just described that to me. Because I think that's what they used to do back in the day.
Well, one thing about this guy is that he did say that he used to do a whole bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he told me.
Right.
And he used to have women doing all type of stuff.
Right.
And so that's why I had to ask him. And he told me he was a former abuser. He used to abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to know, what was your characteristic on how you could size him up?
Right.
And he gave me one of his examples of how he could size them up, what they don't do, and what their reactions are towards someone like me that will stand up and tell him who he is.
Right.
And so I asked him, this next question was, well, can you tell me the reason why you're not an abuser anymore?
Mm.
And he told me, he says that the reason why he's not abusing anymore because the woman that he's married to now became pregnant.
Okay.
And he says that at that moment in time, he had beat her. And he thought she was going to have a miscarriage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he was so worried about the baby. I said, so what about your wife? Because you say you're married now. He says at that time, he couldn't care anything about her.
Right.
He said, but one thing that made him change his attitude and stop beating her up was, one, she became pregnant. Number two is because he says he didn't want to live the same. He didn't want his child to live the same life that he lived without both of his parents.
Right.
He says he had no mother, he had no father.
Oh wow.
And see, this is the same thing as what we spoke about earlier, in when men don't have a father around or they don't have a mother around.
Absolutely.
And they act out in retaliation.
Right.
So that's what he was doing.
Right.
And I asked him, I said, well, how long ago has it been since you stopped abusing women?
Okay.
And he says that it took him that one instant where he had beat her and she became really sick, and he thought she was going to have a miscarriage.
Right.
He said he never touched her again.
Wow.
And I had to tell him, I said, I commend you on that. I said, but from a lot of data and a lot of statistic, it says that men who are abusers never change. I said, but you are a prime example. I said, if you're telling me that you stopped beating this woman
Right.
when you realized the danger that you was putting her life and your unborn child in, and now you're no longer an abuser, I couldn't help but, I'm sitting there crying like, oh my God, I know this man is not telling me
Right.
that he now do not beat women anymore. But I believe that you can have those type of success stories if you are really dedicated into being a non-abuser again.
Right. Absolutely. And I think the individual, and I'm not quite sure that there are a lot more stories out there like that of former abusers, that people don't readily know about. Men who have, or women who have used to be a certain way, and for whatever circumstance, situation that came along, they found themselves no longer being that person that they used to be. And that's what it's about, is the mindset. His mindset changed.
Yeah.
He had that mindset change when he had that, when he had that situation happen with his wife, or then girlfriend, I'm not sure, at that time. And the thought of losing that child and her was something that it's like, oh my God. You know?
And you know what? I call that a miracle. I call that child a miracle child. And the reason why I call the child a miracle child is because that child saved not only its life, saved the mother's life.
Saved the mother's life, absolutely.
And it changed the way that its father saw life as a reality, instead of as one that I can just beat you and let you die, and I can roll out and get another woman.
But here's the thing, though, too, that I'm gonna throw at you: that child saved 3 lives, saved their life, the mother's life, and that man's life.
Yeah,
saved his life too.
Yes. And I love wonderful success stories like that. And every now and then, he'll call and speak to me.
Oh, okay.
And I've spoken to his wife, and I saw the child. Child is now 16 years old.
Oh, wow.
And it's just one of those wonderful things as that you can have that long-term recovery and rehabilitation,
right,
and love without that negativity and that abuse.
Well, absolutely. But you got to have it. You got to have it in order to be able to get through something like that. Gotta have it.
Yes. All right. Well, we have one more type of abusive partner, and that's the non-supportive partner. And with us doing our wrap up right now, I would like to say that in the last story that I just spoke of about the man and the child and the wife, he turned from that non-supportive one to a very supportive partner.
Absolutely. Okay.
And in return, everything became very positive, and they are now a happy family, and they're living together with no violence. And you've just had another wonderful show, The Destiny Show. We love you, and remember, you are worth a healthy, unabusive life. Good night.